how can people do this? How can they do it? Hello, gorgeous people. How are you? I hope you're wonderful. I'm doing a lot better now. Thank you very much for all of the beautiful comments that came last week when I was talking about my family and everything. Thank you very much. And I want to continue that conversation, but on a much more positive note. Okay? I'll tell you all about it on the other side. So if you like this content, if you like these videos, please press like, please subscribe, and that'll help the channel. Helps the channel a lot to get moving, okay? So, I was talking about my aunt last week, and finally, thank God, she passed away. And I say thank God because she went on what they call the end-of-life treatment, which is, let's be honest, euthanasia. But it's not euthanasia like you would do with an animal. It's euthanasia, it's barbaric euthanasia is what it is. So basically they stopped giving her water and food. Nothing. Right? Just wetting her lips. And she lived for 9 days. Now, just as an aside, we wouldn't do that with an animal. If in fact we starved an animal for 9 days, without food and water, we would probably be fined, we could go to prison. However, it seems to be okay to do that with people. Isn't that absolutely fucking bizarre? I find it, and this is not the only time it's happened to a family member. They did the same with my grandmother. Let's just stop giving them food and water and let them die like that. And I'm just not a big fan of that. You know, I believe that the reason that they do that is they want that bed. They want that bed. And that bed is being held up. You see, that person's not earning any money, no operations, no real treatment. There's no money being made from that bed. And so, well, the best way is just to stop giving them stuff and let them die. It's bizarre. I find it incredible. Anyway, that wasn't what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to give you an update on that. However, my auntie doesn't want to have a funeral. No funeral. So, I don't know how we're going to get closure with that. She decided she wanted what they called simple cremation. That's what she has, something like that. Simply cremation. And so, that's it. So I thought I was going to have to go to the UK, and I haven't, because there's nothing to go for. Bizarre. So, anyway, I was thinking deeply about this situation. You know, I talked about these people that we see that are very close to us who are doing something that we find bizarre. Rolling their sleeve up, giving themselves over to this, we could call it mass euthanasia. And it's something that I struggle to get my head around. How can people do this? How can they do it when it's patently obvious to me? So I want to have a chat with the emissaries. So I talked to the emissaries about this, and I said, so what's going on? You know, how is it that people that we love and that are close to us, we can't reach them? We can't tell them. And when we try to, we get pushback in a big way sometimes. And these are people who love us, and yet they push back in a big way. So what the emissary said was this, and they started to give me a knitting metaphor. And what they actually showed me was a weaving loom, right? A weaving loom. And what they said was that each of us comes here with a pattern that we are going to weave through this life. It's our pattern, and we have the pattern there. We know this pattern. We know it very well, and off we start weaving and we follow the pattern, okay? But they said everybody comes with a different pattern. And I know this, but it kind of sometimes takes, you know, something like this to help you get an idea of what on earth this is about. What they said was this: other people have their patterns, and they're their patterns. You have your pattern, and it's your pattern. And so you've got to get weaving on your pattern. But what you can't do, for lots of different reasons, is you can't start telling other people that their pattern's wrong. It's not your place. There's a bit of a karmic pushback on that as well when you try and impose your pattern on other people. And not only that, the emissaries were saying, when you go to somebody and you've got your pattern and you go, look, it's obvious, it's in the face, it's obvious, clearly it's obvious. They're looking and they're saying, sorry, I can't see that. That's not the pattern that I know. That's not my pattern. That's not what I'm here to do. And so we always assume that if people can just see the truth, what we see, that's it. And no, that's not how it works, because they've got their pattern. And the emissary said, understand that many people are here and have nothing to do with the Great Awakening. That they're here to weave their pattern and then they go. Okay? And so whatever we think that they should be doing, we're wrong. Because we don't know. Because we haven't got access to their pattern and they haven't got access to ours either. And so we shouldn't be going around trying to force it on. It's something I'm really, really working on learning. You know, little by little I'm getting the idea. But it's not easy. It's not easy for anyone. Why? Because we love these people. Of course, we love them. And so we want to save them, don't we? From their own selves. We want to save them from their pattern. But it's their pattern and it's not ours. Now, I was thinking about this and I thought, it's true, you know. We keep trying to get people to see and to fit in with our pattern and yet we can't. And if I were to be honest, truly honest, I mean, I've been speaking out about the way the world's been going. I've been speaking out for, let's say, 10 years, probably, maybe more, maybe 15 years. I've been doing videos on other channel that I had. And I started small, but then, you know, I picked up. How many people have I woken up? How many people have said, I watched your video and I woke up? None. Zero. Big fat fucking zero. Right? I haven't woken anybody up. How many people have I helped who were already on the process of waking up? Many. How many people have I been able to offer some hope or some, you know, relief in their process of waking up? Many. But how many people have I actually caused to wake up? Not many. And the majority of us in there, I know every now and again somebody says, yeah, I think I maybe woke one person up or two, but that's it. And the thing is, sometimes egoically we think, yeah, I woke that person up, but that person was just following their pattern. And so they were going to wake up anyway. It just happened that maybe you were somewhere in their pattern and you were going to be there when they woke up. But they woke up. You didn't wake them up. And so we've got to understand that's not what we're here to do. We are not here to wake people up. We are not here to make people do what we think that they should do. That's not fair. And it's unworkable, and it's a pain in the arse to try and do, because you end up the loser. I end up the loser. So I said to the emissary, so what do we do then? What do we do when we see our loved ones going down the wrong path? No, going down their path. And they said, well, what you have to do is stay calm. Try not to drop a loop. That's their words. You see, they're very funny. We've got a knitting metaphor. Try not to drop a loop. And understand that there are many, many, many things happening that don't necessarily have anything to do with you and don't necessarily have anything to do with what's happening in the world. People come down to do their thing, whatever their thing is. It might, you know, who knows what it is. My auntie, for example, she just spent her whole life helping people. She was a carer for the people who who had learning difficulties. She cared for them. She cared for all of the sick people in her family. Was that her knitting pattern? Probably. Yeah. Did she need to wake up to be able to do that properly? Not at all. She was a fantastic carer, and she was asleep. In my book, whatever that means, asleep. So I think we've got to get over ourselves a little bit. And I've certainly got to get over myself and get over this thinking that we know better about other people's paths, because we don't. We know, we don't even know that much about our path sometimes. You know, we're not very good at dealing with our paths. And, you know, as that famous expression from the Bible says, before you try and remove the straw from your brother's eye, get the fucking rafter out of your own. And that's, you know, and I'm talking to myself here as much as everybody else. That's what we've got to do. I'm going to finish with a little anecdote. When I was a child, I used to think as a child, no, when I was a child, there were 3 of us. I've actually got, there are 4 of us, 4 siblings, but my younger sister wasn't born till 10 years after I was born. I was 10 when she came around. But there were 2 years between myself, my middle brother, not a nice brother, and at the time, naughty, and then my sister. Okay, so there were 3 of us. And my mum, she was a prolific knitter. She was. She could knit anything. And not only that, she had, and maybe they still exist, they probably do, but she had one of those knitting machines with like 1,000 knitting hooks on. And she would use a pattern like a paper pattern with holes in, would go on the top, and she'd go, jing, jing. And that's what I used to hear all afternoon, jing, jing. And then she would have to take off or take on or whatever, jing, jing. Yeah? Prolific knitter. And she would knit 3 jumpers that were identical. Always. One for me, one for my brother, one for my sister. Now, even back then, I didn't like that. I didn't like wearing the same jumpers as my brothers and sisters. Didn't like it. I wanted to be independent, even then. And I've got loads of childhood photographs of the 3 of us all with the same jumpers on. In fact, me and my brother, even with the same hairstyle. Why? Because my dad used to cut our hair, and he was taught how to cut hair in the army. So you can imagine what kind of hairstyles we had when we were kids. And he would cut my sister's hair. So that wasn't good. Anyway, so we'd have these 3 jumpers, which was all right. But now, you know, I won't put my sons in the same. I wouldn't personally. My wife likes it, but I don't. Keep them independent, different. Yeah. But when my mum would finish the jumpers, I used to run away and hide. The reason is because she would say, "Come and let me try this jumper on you, Gordon." And I knew what was going to happen, because my mum was a fantastic knitter, but she was not good at tying off, adding the neck. You know, you do the neck separately and then you have to add it. And she would always put not enough wool holding the neck. So the neck was always tight. So what would happen is the jumper used to fit me beautifully, but it just get stuck like this on my ears. And it was like she was trying to pull down a guillotine over my ears every time. And I would go, ah! She'd go, stop complaining. There's nothing wrong. I would go, ah! Every single time. I don't know what was going on. I had told her, you know, repeatedly, please can you make the neck a little bit bigger? But I think once you've done it, I think it's very difficult to then adjust it afterwards. So it was like a fait accompli. So my trauma, my childhood trauma, comes from having to dress the same as my brothers and sisters, and also having tremendous pain around the ear area. So let's weave our own pattern. Let's not spend our time trying to tell other people what they've got to weave. Let's not try to sell our pattern to other people. When are we going to learn? And I'm talking to me. When are you going to learn, Gordon? Soon, I hope. And that might stop a little bit of frustration, mightn't it? I love you all. I'll speak to you all soon. Bye-bye.